Why do moms hate their daughters?
Hey, good morning. So, reasons that some mothers may display behavior that seems like they hate their daughters, part one. Rock with me a little bit. I am the only daughter, and youngest child of a rape victim, rape survivor. My mother was raped at age 15 when she was a student at Spingarn High School in Washington, D.C., and produced my big brother, Kevin, at age 16. And it's actually my big brother, Kevin, that just a few years ago, as I was beginning to cut off no contact with my mother and family, he said to me, man, and I'm going to do the DC accent, man, stay away from mom. Stay away from mom. She ain't going to do nothing but use you as her human punching bag. My mom was raped in the early 70s. My brother was born 1972. I'm sure that she received no mental health services, no coping or recovery services after her first sexual experience being rape. And that's not only because she was Black. I think it may also be generational. Of that time, people just didn't get mental health services. My mother also grew up poor in Deanwood, Washington, D.C., and had two ain't shit parents herself. Her stepfather, Pablo Lancaster, was a heroin addict. And just speaking to the kind of mother my grandmother is alive, and three of her children are dead, two from heroin overdose and another from HIV/AIDS. But I bring that back to my mother's treatment of me, and maybe some other mothers' maltreatment of their daughters. Is a lot of mothers have gone through, whether it was sexual abuse, sexual violence, physical abuse, just pushed under a rug, and they never received any mental health services, recovery, support. And that's why you sometimes hear the quote, an unhealed mother is often her daughter's first and worst enemy.
Why do moms hate their daughters? I feel like moms feel a way towards their daughters, and that is why girls need their fathers. I don't know if it's just in the Black community, but I really need the answers. Like, does anybody else have a story to tell? Like, have y'all ever experienced that or felt that way? I really need to know. Why do moms hate their daughters?
In my own clinical training, I've learned that a lot of sexual abuse survivors, they blame themselves. And a lot of times that blame can manifest itself in destructive behavior. My mother blaming herself for her rape manifested itself in her abuse of me. Thinking back to when my mother used to beat me or yell at me, it's not so much that the beating, the physical impact of her hand against my skin or my face hurt. It's the violence and rage in her tone of voice and her eyes that I saw. And thinking back to it, it makes me think when my mother was welling on me, it makes me think that in her mind, because I look like her, whether or not y'all say I look like my daddy, she was beating up on that little girl that, you shouldn't have been there. You wouldn't have got raped if you did this. You should not have been there. You should have been in the house. I just feel that it was a parallel, and my mother was going back in time when she used to beat me. She was beating up herself and blaming herself for getting raped. You motherfucking bitch, you shouldn't have been there, you shouldn't have did this. My mom would be beating me and all this passion in her voice. So that's just a theory.